You good?
Yeah.
Can't believe what
It's like a dance.
Madam Shaker? Yeah, we're ready. No sushi.
No fun. I know. I need to take my glasses off. Por favor, se Charadeva, accept my obeisance.
There's room up front too, if anyone.
Yeah, you're welcome to come
A better
forward if you like.
seat in front of the
Okay. Just before Srila Prabhupada left his body, he called one of his disciples to his room and asked, "When I'm gone, how will this movement go on?" When his disciple answered, "We'll follow the principles and chant Hare Krishna," Prabhupada then replied, "It must be done with intelligence and organization." Srila Charadeva, I believe that your transcendental intelligence has helped Srila Prabhupada ISKCON in so many ways. Your sincere motivation to bring Krishna consciousness to the forefront is inspiring, and your vision to preserve the philosophy and apply it through adaptation according to time and place is refreshing. It takes true transcendental intelligence to accomplish this, and I feel that's what Krishna West is all about. Thank you, Srila Charadeva, for blessing us with your vision. You have been and continue to be a great source of guidance and inspiration in my life for the last 30 years. Your servants, Lamash.
I think some of the ways are fasting, so I think at noon, I think we're going to have snacks outside in case anyone's not making it.
Your lecture was scheduled, your talk was scheduled after the offering, so I thought that we could let it go a little longer since we're already.
Oh, yeah, I've already spoke. What's that?
We don't have that many people with this thing.
And so when could we continue?
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun. Until what time?
What time is the archer?
12:30.
Yes, we have another half hour. So in the meantime, I didn't want people up to fast unnecessarily.
Is today the actual day?
No, but some people, I think,
Today, right?
in case anyone is fasting. I know when I was young, I never fasted. So we arranged at noon to have snacks.
See what you do?
We can continue, but if individuals, if they want, they can just go out and you can what's that? Yeah. What's my Portuguese?
Jai Shri Charadeva. Hare Krishna. Querido Srila Charadeva, por favor, aceite minhas reverências. Neste dia especial, sinto o quanto continuo endividado com sua pessoa. Os anos vão passando e eu nunca me canso de ouvir sobre suas realizações, fruto da reciclagem profunda dos ensinamentos de Srila Prabhupada. O meu puja neste dia é uma forma sincera de gratidão ao Senhor, que é o professor representante dos mestres originais Vyasa e Shukadeva. Diferente do burocrata, o estadista pensa e enxerga muito na frente de seu tempo. Da mesma forma, diferente do filósofo, o pensador ideal propõe ideias geniais para ajustar perfeitamente os ensinamentos dos Vedas para gerações futuras. E assim, a mesma instrução se torna atemporal. Assim como os Goswamis de Vrindavana, que liam todas as escrituras e pregavam a essência delas, Punsam Evam Tatashayas, o benefício mais elevado é obtido. Assim, meu Puja é eterna e profunda gratidão por não ter nenhuma dúvida que o Senhor, como representante de Vyasa, sabe como ajustar as coisas e, ao mesmo tempo, sabe manter o passo com o verdadeiro interesse espiritual de todos. Sua natureza me inspira e vivifica. Muito, muito obrigado. Queria pedir a Ananda Lila para ler a oferenda da minha esposa, se eu me der licença. Minha esposa é uma seguidora muito fanática de Shiva Charadeva. Ela não pode ver. Ela é escritora e está sempre seguindo, né, tudo que ela escreve, ela é seguindo as instruções pessoais de Shiva Charadeva.
Se eu pretendo Shri Damodar Devidasi. Querido Shila Charadeva, aceite minhas reverências aos seus pés de lótus, todas as glórias do Shila Prabhupada. Querido mestre, neste dia gostaria que soubesse o quanto o Senhor foi e é importante para mim. Ao conhecê-lo, meu caminho ganhou o norte, e eu, desde então, venho galgando transformação e dignidade. Refiro-me a Bhakti, que nos oportuniza com uma relação pessoal com Deus. E esse tesouro é o Senhor, meu mestre, quem revela conforme vou alcançando etapas e conquistando desafios. O Senhor é muito sapiente e possui conhecimento vasto das escrituras Vaishnavas, bem como conhecimento de nosso repertório ocidental. Como não ouvir tal proficiente pessoa como o Senhor? E também possui muito bom humor, que resgata no discípulo a alegria e um estado positivo para viver. Além da autoconfiança essencial para agirmos de acordo com nossa real identidade, onde quer que estamos. Obrigado por me confiar o exercício de escrever. Hoje, com alguns livros circulando e outros por vir, desejo ampliar e ampliar e ampliar para me tornar um veículo de produção de conhecimento à luz do divino Paramparal. Obrigada, Shila Charadeva. O Senhor é um amigo sincero dos discípulos que buscam aprimoramento e coração de sua discípula Shri Damodar Devidasi.
Agradece ela.
I'll ask a Vaishnava Kripa.
Doutora.
Hare Krishna, Shila Charadeva, please accept my obeisance. My relationship with Shila Charadeva started when I was in my mother's womb. She wrote him and I asked him about my name. And she told her that it was a baby boy, it would be Vaishnava Das. And if it was a baby girl, it would be Vaishnava Devidasi. And then was when I was 14 years that our relationship really got strained. It was when I was initiated. And I remember that when Maharaj went to São Paulo in Brazil, he gave a class, a lecture, and he told that he wanted that his disciples, the female disciples, become accomplished women, wives, and devotees. And I got that as a mission. And I started meditating about that. And when I was 18 years, I had to choose a profession. And I don't know why, but I was very attracted by medicine. And I started to study to get admitted in the new university. And I don't know how it is here, but in Brazil it's very difficult to get admitted because we have government universities and it's very contested, the exam. And if you don't have a lot of money to pay for a private university, you should study hard to pass. And then I was studying for 4 years to get admitted, and I finally got. And plus 6 years studying, plus 2 years doing internal medicine, my residency in internal medicine. And now, within 1 year, I finished my studies, total of 14 years studying, I become cardiology. And when I was in my internship, I was a little bit disappointed with the medical experience because the people are so materialist and they don't really care for the patients. And oh my God, what should I do? I will give up everything. I'm so disappointed. And I was inspired to go back to Vedanta Hospital, and I spent 9 months there. And it was very enlivening for me and for my profession. And there I got in contact with the Devotees Care Program and the spiritual counseling in the hospital. And it was an amazing experience. And I wrote an article, a 10-page article about that experience. I didn't write an offering, but this is my offering for you. And not only this article, but I would like to offer all my life, all my service. Every single day when I'm in the school, when I get good grades, oh, my guru will be happy with this, and I don't get good grades, oh, my guru will be very sad. I should study more. And when I went back to Vedanta Hospital, the people said, oh, you are crazy, why are you going there? You should go to US, to London. And when I went there, our medical coordinator, H.D.Goswami Prabhu, asked me, are you crazy? Why did you come here? And then I told him, where in the world would I find such a spiritual program for the patients, not taking care just for the body, but for the souls. And last month, I met a group of cardiologists in Rio de Janeiro, and they invited me to join with them because they are starting meetings to speak about spirituality in the medicine, because the people are so satisfied about treating just the body. And that's what I want to do. That's what I'm living for. I want to have the opportunity to give to my patients not only the body care, but the mental, the body, and the spiritual care. And that's my offering for you, brother. Thank you so much for being such an inspiring source. That was a long journey with a lot of obstacles, but every time I get tired, I was about to give up. I remembered your example and give me strength to keep walking. Thank you so much.
Oh, my God.
He doesn't want to talk.
¿Cómo que tú no quieres hablar?
Entre de bote me pongo muy tímido. Pero para los que no me conocen.
Oh, I can say actually a word about Ichwaku.
Oh my God. You're making it worse.
Is this on? Yeah. Ichwaku was a senior disciple of mine. And he is originally from Cuba.
Cuba.
And he's been doing it for how many years?
I started going to Cuba in '97, but at least 3 times a year from 2007.
So yeah, so he's been doing this for
Like
17 years or something. Going to Cuba, and there are many devotees in Cuba. Actually, the movement's very strong there, and Ichwaku has been really very important leader there, bringing Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. That's my offering to you. And now I'm going to say something about Saturday. And first time I met Silacharadev was in 1986. Was in Panama. Panama. You know, we were at the airport, and you know, Saturday used to say, "Oh, estamos en Panamá," because in Spanish it's Panama. And he was asking for the names of the different devotees and people over there, and he asked for my name. And then, where are you from? I said, I'm from Cuba. Oh, you visiting here? I remember very well. Are you visiting here? No, I live here. Yeah, Cuban from Panama. Well, I just came from Cuba and on my way to United States. I'm waiting for my visa. Say, oh, then you are Cuban, 3 times. You said that. Say, well, I hope so. Then he said, and when are we going to open a temple in Havana? He said that. And I said, I don't know, I hope. But as time passed, I took it very seriously, that this is what Krishna wants me to do for Srila Prabhupada and Srila Sharadeva. And I want to thank you in front of our God brothers, because you have been actually our inspiration. And it has been very difficult, preaching under the rule of the communist government is very, very difficult. And we don't have the same public projection that we have in other places. We have to be very careful with everything we do and say. But even by now, we have like 5 communities in different provinces of the countries, 5 communities. And in fact, I came here, there is a new devotee who wants to take initiation from you. His name is Bhakta Raul, so he was pleased. I give him the DVDs, and they know you by DVD. He knows you because Maharaj was there in 2010, and so new devotees have been coming. And this is the guru I want to be initiated by. So his name is Bhakta Raul. I represent him in front of you. I recommend him. So thank you very much for all your effort, and especially thank you for Krishna West. Krishna Occidental. Thank you very much.
Arya Sangama.
Antes de venir, hablé con Ishwaku de México y le manda sus saludos. Y Camex.
Querido Srila Charadeva, por favor, aceite nossas mais sinceras reverências. Todas as glórias de Srila Prabhupada. Minha eterna gratidão ao meu mestre espiritual, pois o que seria de nós se ele não tivesse aceito tão corajosa e bondosamente a instrução de seu mestre espiritual, Srila Prabhupada, de ir pregar e expandir o movimento para a consciência de Krishna no Brasil? Oro a Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda para que lhe abençoe sempre com muita saúde e que possamos ter a misericórdia de sua associação por muito mais anos à frente. Tomara Karuna Sara, sua misericórdia é essencial para nós, seus servos, Varita Chanda Devidasi e Arasana Madasa.
Palaka.
Oi. What I can say, everybody say many good things about you, and I just reinforce, what the devotees say about this great personality, in front of us, which give to us a lot of good instructions, not just in the spiritual life, but in your material life, how you deal in this material world. Each day, Srila Charadeva is a great source, the inspiration for me and what I'm doing in my life, and in propagate the mission of Srila Prabhupada, and I'm feeling very happy to serve this great personality. I just say thank you for Srila Charadeva. Thank you.
Jaisita.
That's Sri Charity. I can't thank you enough for the support that you have given me and continue to give me as I take further steps forward in my spiritual life. By your blessings, we have started a yoga and preaching center in Puerto Rico, near the University of Puerto Rico main campus. We have started a prasadam program there as well just a few weeks ago. It has been a long dream of mine to do something practical and sustainable in Puerto Rico for Krishna consciousness. I'm infinitely grateful for your direction and encouragement in this endeavor, and I continue to drive inspiration and spiritual strength from your outstanding dedication to Srila Prabhupada and sharing Krishna consciousness with others. As you speak the following words, trust, it is a firm conviction, and that conviction is that by rendering devotional service to Krishna, every action will be done if I devote myself to Krishna. So I think to myself, what a wonderful gift you have given us of showing us how to develop firm conviction in Krishna consciousness. I know there will be ups and downs in this path, but your world in this path, words. I do it in Spanish now. Sorry. But your words and your sincerity are always in the foreground, leading whatever little efforts I can make towards sharing love for Krishna and Srila Prabhupada.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhale Srimati H.D.Goswami Namane Namaste Guru Saya Paramananda Mitse Prabhupada Brahmalaya Dishta Salantana Shane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskati Deshatani. Dear Srila Charidev, please accept my most humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Please forgive my offenses and continue to open my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Even for one who is not directly seeking Krishna, or aware that it is only Krishna which he seeks, the purpose of his or her developed human consciousness is to discover and understand how nature works. That the path of renunciation, nivritti marg, is superior to the path of sense gratification, pravritti marg, is evident in the distinctly different results obtained in the consciousness, by the consciousness, and that superiority is manifested clearly in your divine grace. Add to that a blissful heart, transcendental brain, and Krishna Prema, and you get yourself the empowered agent of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, Krishna himself, and Srimati Radharani's special mercy. I am in an infected state, becoming purified to the extent that I surrender to your lotus feet, which are firmly fixed with your head at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. I too wish to be like that. You are proof of all these things by evidence in your own life, and the expansion of Krishna consciousness in Latin America and Portuguese America. Temples in Latin, temples and devotees, so many that you've made, and now in North America, utilizing progressive new strategies and enthusiastically transcendental means to those ways and to that way. By remaining in your association, Srila Charidev, I remain in the spiritual sky with Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. Please allow me to remain there by pleasing you, and then Krishna becomes pleased. As you said, this is all about pleasing him. Please forgive my grievous offenses and ignorance of spiritual and material subject matters. Krishna is supplying all remembrance and forgetfulness. In this bewildering field of Shreyas and Preyas, of nectars and poisons, karmic mirrors and kala, all devouring time, Krishna says to simply surrender to him. So even though I don't remember the Sanskrit verse, I remember half of it. I rededicate my life today to simply surrender to Krishna through your expert guidance and Srila Prabhupada's instructions. As the manifestation of Chaitya Guru and Nityananda Ram, Lord Balaram, please consider me as a proper recipient of your mercy and give me the intelligence necessary to become your serious and fully surrendered proper disciple. All I can do is to desire to please you, then Krishna is pleased, and my life is perfected in the perfection of that desire. Please help me to implement this desire, as it is all I have to offer. Please direct me in your service. Hare Krishna. Sincerely, your insignificant servant, Mridanga Das.
I would like to ask for any volunteers from the Vaishnavi section. Okay. You didn't want to. Or,
Raja is the daughter. Filha de Yugo. Conheço ela desde nascimento.
Eu estava em Índia quando eu perguntei, eu disse para o senhor que eu estava grávida, se o senhor podia me dar um nome. Aí o senhor disse, vou pensar. Aí eu voltei, fiquei na porta esperando. Eu conversou com muita gente. Aí o senhor me fez entrar, eu disse, eu tenho um nome para ele, para o bebê, Brajuratna. E eu pensava que era homem. Brajuratna, tá? Eu disse, poder de dar. Sim, estava
Ele é talentoso, né? Canta,
Jai Shila Shri. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shila Prabhupada. Thank you for the name. Thank you so much. I just wanted to express my gratitude, my deepest gratitude. Actually, I just wanted to share a small pastime. A couple years ago, I was in New York, and I was meant to come here to help my mother serve you, and I wanted to go to New Vrindavan for a 24-hour kirtan, and so I was a little conflicted as to what to do. And so I was in New York, and I hurt my foot, and I couldn't walk. And so I was on the next flight here to North Carolina. And in those few days that I was able to assist my mother in serving you, I felt just a small, it was my first experience in feeling just such happiness in doing something for another person. Doing something to please another can fulfill and satisfy one so much. And in those few moments, I didn't have the constant ongoing noise of the mind and of so many distractions. Just in that day, it was just filled with happiness in just being active in your service. And so I wanted to really thank you for that, because that ignited something in my heart to really take my spiritual life seriously. And from there blossomed, small little steps. And I'm very grateful for that. And my mother is is protected here by you, and I'm thanking you so much for that as well, and seeing her utilize everything she has in your service is also reinforcing my decisions and the steps that I'm taking. And I just sincerely want to thank you for being here in North Carolina, a place where I grew up, and being a spiritual father for all of those that take shelter in you. Thank you so much.
Funny things about to happen in the mandir. Jai Shila Shri Dev. It's not often, but I guess I'm somewhat speechless.
You speak louder?
Sorry. So many wonderful things were said by so many wonderful Vaishnavas here today that echoed my own sentiments. And I think that the balance that you bring to explanations, understandings, and intelligence makes us able to accept reality even within our hearts. Sometimes we hear that, oh, well, that's too heady for me, I can't wrap my head around that, or, oh, well, that's too sentimental for me, it doesn't make enough sense. So you will always find the perfect balance between intelligence and feeling. And I really appreciate that very much. And also, your seriousness in your execution of your service to Srila Prabhupada, you never take your seriousness too seriously. So, thank you for that as well.
Govinda Sundar, when he was, what age did you start being my press agent?
4.
4? In Brazil, whenever we have a program, at the end I call him, he was a little kid, and I would tell him what to say, he'd say, thank you all very much, muito obrigado. Go down hora de encerrar, time that it ended, so he was my spokesman for 4 years old.
Today I would like to share my appreciation. Oh, sorry. I would like to share my appreciation and for you, and I would like to just get a drop of the compassion that you have for so many that are suffering in the world, and bringing Krishna to the forefront, and bringing Krishna to their lives. And I'm reading a book called Vaishnava Compassion, and so much of it talks about understanding the suffering that is occurring in the world, and with knowledge, bringing all lost souls back to Krishna. So I pray for encouragement and enthusiasm to serve, and allow my life also to bring others towards Krishna. So thank you, Shishka.
Señora, ¿tú querías decir algo? Allá. Thank you.
I wasn't prepared for this, but I come from Seattle, and it's never too far for me to come and visit Acharya Deva. I met him when he first came to Venezuela with Prabhupada, and my life changed from then on. So I was just thinking that I like music very much. You know, I play piano, violin, and I relate everything to music. So I was just thinking at this moment that Acharya Deva, for me, I don't know if you know this song, it's called You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings. And that's how I feel about Acharya Deva. When I have any difficult time in my life, I think of him, and he always gives me the strength to go on. So thank you so much for being my spiritual master, H.D.Goswami.
It's 12:29.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Please accept my obeisances, Sheila Charidev. I feel so blessed to have your personal association and to have the opportunity to serve you. And I really wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for your courage in the midst of so much adversity and negativity. You have so much determination to push forward with Krishna West. And because of this, we are going to be the lucky ones to see ISKCON again as a relevant, powerful movement in the West. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, and it's just such an inspiration.
Thank you. I just want to read these few words from Dear Krishna Maharaj. On this auspicious day, I hope it is, of your appearance, I would like to thank you for everything you have done to help me connect more deeply with Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Radha and Krishna, and all the incarnations and devotees of the Lord. I first met you in 1971. Previously, I'd been familiar with the Krishna consciousness movement. So I'll just finish this up and then we'll have kirtan. But was reluctant to associate with devotees because of the heavy preaching that I encountered. I was reluctant to come to the Gainesville Temple, which you were in charge of at that time, because of experiences I had with other devotees there. I came to the temple one time because I heard that Prabhupada would be visiting in the future. This time I encountered you, and your kindness won me over. In fact, because of your association and Prabhupada's impending visit, I did something that I never thought I would do. I asked to join the ashram and shave my head. You often related to me that when I first came, you could not even see me as I was covered by a mass of hair. Yet by your association, I desired to give this hair up, which was one of my most dear possessions. You trained us new devotees up by giving more than 5 classes daily. I learned, there's still outstanding debts. I learned a tremendous amount of Krishna conscious philosophy during these first few months. You tricked me into doing Sankirtan the first week I was in the movement by giving me the task of temple treasurer. And then when I finished counting the money, no more than $10, you told me that because I had finished my service, it was time to go out and preach. By preaching, I imbibed the philosophy of Krishna consciousness quickly. Later, when you took sannyas, I was your first brahmachari assistant. You taught me about humility and how one should cry for the mercy of the Lord. I, along with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj Ganesham at that time, used to cry together by your mercy. Then you engaged me in preaching Krishna consciousness in South America. What an adventure that was. Finally, in 1978, you gave me sannyas in Lima, Peru. Throughout all these years, your erudite preaching style has inspired me in my own preaching. I never get bored hearing your expositions of Krishna consciousness and the practical application of Krishna consciousness for the modern world. Now I'm very happy to be partnering with you in this new endeavor, Krishna West, that has as its goal the re-spiritualization of the Western world, taking the essential aspects of Krishna consciousness and applying them according to time, place, and circumstances. This project is very inspiring. I'm sure the Acharyas are very, very happy with this endeavor, as they, Srila Prabhupada and the past Acharyas, have as their goal engaging everyone in the universe in Krishna consciousness. Thank you for all this and more. I'm looking forward to seeing you upon my return to New Goloka, your servant, Dear H.D.Goswami. Yes. So I would like to especially thank Dear Krishna Maharaj for those very kind and generous words. And there was mixed with realism, like that I made him cry. Okay.
Charity, please accept my obeisances. All glories. I'll just speak fast. All glories to you and to Srila Prabhupada. I just want to thank you so much for all your work and endeavor to create Krishna West here. I just feel personally in my spiritual life that it's so beneficial, and I know there must be so many more people out there that are interested in Krishna consciousness, and this is going to be the perfect way to reach them. So I'm just excited and thankful, and I really appreciate your association and our wonderful visit that we got to have with you in Davidson, and thank you for all that you do. Jai Shri Charity.
Krishna, do you want to say anything? Yeah, come on, you're a good speaker.
I start speaking, I might not stop. Well, while I was, is this on? Yeah. So while I was sitting back there listening, you know, I just couldn't help but think of the first time I met you, which was by accident. Literally, I had a concussion. And so I had to leave Chicago immediately and go back home to Texas in the middle of the school year. And that would have never happened on a normal school year. And at that time, you happened to be traveling and had an accident yourself and had to stop in Texas. And you happened to stop at the house that we were house sitting. And so that's how we were so fortunate enough to meet you. And otherwise, I don't think we would have ever met you. If you had not gone and played Frisbee, and I had not fallen and hit my head, we would have never had met, and I would not even be here. And that was Krishna's arrangement, obviously. And I was just appreciating the music, actually, the music aspects of our time with you that we had, the personal darshans and the evening kirtans. And it was about this time of the year too, Damodar. And yeah, I was just excited because I've never seen anybody play the piano with kirtans, and it really opened up. It was just so beautiful, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is something new. And then the Sanskrit Beatles song, that was very new too. I was so confused and I was so new, and I was just like, wow, what is all of this? I didn't know gurus did this. And yeah, I mean, during that time, I feel with all my experiences with you, I'm always, I'm like a child learning, you know, to walk and to grow, etc., and to do different things. I remember we were in LA and you taught me how to steam vegetables properly. So that was good, to get my veggies down. Yeah, just different things, and then I remember I told you how I wanted to build a bench made out of trash for a summer project, and you were like, what? We have a world to save, Krishna, what are you doing? You can't go to South America and build a bench out of trash. Go to Harvard and study Sanskrit. You know, like maybe you can become a professor or something. And so when I returned to school, that's what I did. I went to the financial aid office, the fellowship office, and I said, well, do you guys have any money to go do this thing that I want to do? And so I got some grants, and I was able to study at Harvard and Boston. And actually, while Vraja was speaking, she was saying how when you're actually doing a service that someone has asked you to do personally, it is a very different experience, you know, rather than, you know, sometimes speculating, thinking, oh, well, I'm sure my Guru Maharaj would love this, because I love it. But so when I was in Harvard and I was at Boston, it was a very difficult time for me personally. But I mean, everywhere I've been, Boston, Chicago, Florida, North Carolina, you've always been available. I feel very, very much available. And as I said before, I have an extremely large debt to you, and I'm never going to be able to repay it. And thus, I'm going to have to stay at your lotus feet forever. Okay, thank you so much for your attention.
I mean, I feel really stupid saying, do I have to come and praise me? But that's actually not what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking there's these nice devotees like stuff they might want to share some of their. She could talk about how I made a great Christian cry. Well, Tulsi, you have a story.
You didn't want to, but I have to.
So I'll speak about Tulsi then.
Yes.
Spare.
That'll spare me too.
No, I was thinking about how you've been my uncle the whole time that I've been in Krishna consciousness, and I'm so grateful for that. And when I came into the ashram, Tulsi and Krishna Priya were the ones who trained me up. So, I always learned so much about you from them. And there's just so many nice devotees here. It was really interesting. It's like, it's a big family reunion, and so many people I've never met. So many devotees from South America and Central America. It's very inspiring to see factually that Prabhupada made a house in which the whole world could live, and how there are devotees in so many locations. I was just, the main thing I was thinking as we do anything repetitively, you can kind of get into that alpha state, like when you're driving. And it can be very much like that with Krishna consciousness. Like you said, you do all the externals, and then you keep forgetting that it's a continual internal process of digging deeper in introspection and really praying for understanding and clarity, that we have to be continuously working. And I'm very much grateful for all of your speaking and your lectures to remind us of that, to always go deeper and to stay in action.
Yes, please. I was going to ask you, but I feel so stupid. This is our very, very wonderful Krishna West devotee.
Please accept my humble obeisances. I'll do this Midwestern style. I'll make it short and to the point. I'm really, really grateful. I've only known you for a short time period, but I'm so grateful that you came here, and then I had an opportunity to get to know you and have your association, and that Krishna made the arrangement for you to come here for the Krishna West program. I met the devotees originally when I was 16 years old, and I've always had an attraction to Krishna consciousness from the very get-go. But I also always had this kind of internal fight that I always had this really strong attraction to Krishna consciousness, but I never wanted to drop out from society. I wanted to be able to practice this practice, have good sadhana, but also remain a productive member of mainstream society. And it was a battle I fought within myself for a very long time until I met you, and you taught me that not only do I not have to drop out from society, but actually being a good member of society and being a good upstanding citizen, I can actually use that to spread Krishna consciousness so that we move Krishna consciousness into a mainstream religion. And I'm forever grateful for you for that, so thank you.
Gabriel would like to say.
De México.
La ciudad más grande de México, Puerto Rico. No. No, I'm from New York. I'm from New York. I'm from New York, and I was in Puerto Rico and New York.
Oh, Gabriel, you're a friend of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Oh, because
yeah.
I just have a letter today from another Gabriel from Mexico.
Huh. Yeah, I find a lot of people have that name outside the United States. So, but, I didn't really want to say anything because I'm not anybody you recognize or even know. But
I know you are. And you thoroughly inspired me. And I hate to pine on something that might have been pined on before, but ever since I've been going to the temples, like I was raised with vegetarians and meditators, so I got into this real easy. But I was like, what's with all of this? And what's with all of this? Because, you know, that from the other spiritual transcendental side, anything external is Maya, you know. And then we know there's hairs to be split there. Anyway, I had an issue with that, and, you know, sometimes they'd even corner me. You know, put on a dhoti. I mean, yeah, like in New York, and I'm sorry. So they'd be like, you gotta wear a dhoti. You gotta wear a dhoti. I'm like, why? I don't want to wear a dhoti. And it's, anyway, I put the dhoti on. All right, fine, you know. And then this controversial ISKCON sannyasis coming over to the Bhakti Center. You gotta see him. This is my ex-wife told me. Oh, really? All right. Oh, I know who this is. Yeah, I've heard the Mahabharata tapes. Let me listen to something recent. I was like, oh, no, dhoti? What? So happy. Anyway, I'm so, like I said, no issue. I got no issue with whatever you want to wear. But for me, it was like, it was right off the bat. You know, I want to meditate too, but I have to, what? No. And it would be like, yo, Gabriel, this guy, always wearing his blue jeans and white shirts, this guy doesn't get it, you know. So I'm very happy. I do Harinam Sankirtan in New York. I help out the devotees there. I help put the daily Harinam together with Ramaroy Prabhu, and they're dhoti out devotees, but I want to help them out because it's, they need to get this going in New York. It's the most important city out here in the world right now. It's like, you know, if the world was a country, New York would be the city. Anyway, so I'm trying to get that going. You inspired me thoroughly. I want to somehow get a Krishna West Harinam going in New York. I really do.
Yeah,
daily. You know. And
we'll talk about it.
Oh. I'm like a little kid in the candy shop, and I'm so grateful for the sweets you're throwing out so easily to all of us. So, eternally indebted.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
John. Dr. John.
Dr. John.
Legs are sick.
Oh, two. We have two Johns, so we'll take.
Oh, okay. Why not?
He's Krishna's airport secretary.
That's right. Jai Srila Acharya Dev. Whenever this past summer I was supposed to go to Bhaktivedanta College, and Krishna had other arrangements for me, and I ended up just sitting at home. I live in Mooresville, North Carolina, and I didn't really have anything to do, and the devotees at Sandy Ridge said, well, we need you to pick up H.D.Goswami from the airport and take him to Srila Acharya Dev's house. And I said, well, where does Srila Acharya Dev live? And they said, in Davidson, North Carolina. I said, Davidson, that's 10 minutes from my parents' house. I was like, yeah, I'll gladly do that. And so I got to go and do some airport service for Acharya Dev. And like Rangadevi Mataji was saying, I really consider Acharya Dev to be like a spiritual uncle, because I don't tend to take a lot of things very seriously, and I like to cut up and joke around sometimes, and Acharya Dev really appreciates that. I know he takes his spiritual practices seriously, but not morosely like some devotees do, you know. So it's always great to be in his association, because he's always making me laugh, and I get to, you know, just kind of be myself. I don't have to be this really stoic person around him. And I was exposed to Krishna consciousness through a Western preaching method, through the Krishna course scene. So I really appreciate what Acharya Dev is doing, utilizing time, place, and circumstance in order to be able to preach to a Western audience. I think that's very important, because sometimes appearance can be definitely off-putting for some people. We put others in a box based on what they look like and just think they're, you know, crazy or whatever. But I really commend Acharya for doing that. And I love all the association of all his devotees. They're all fantastic, wonderful people. Raja Vallabha down in Alachua, he was also a Marine as well. And he's so charismatic and so just full of life. And he was praising Krishna West. He was telling me about it when I was down there. And I was just like, wow, you know, this is the kind of, you know, disciples that Acharya Deva makes. I love being in their association. So, Jai. Haribol.
We have more Johns.
Not the last one. Hare Krishna Shri Acharya. This is all goes to Srila Prabhupada. I'm here because I'm very grateful. I want to express my gratitude for your association so far. And I remember when I was in Chicago, I was living in an ashram, and Krishna was, I think she was in Texas though at that time, she was in your association, or in LA actually. And I remember I wanted to get to know a little more about you. I heard your lectures, you know, amazing Spanish and Portuguese and English. And that's the next one. And I remember Jai Govinda, he came to Chicago, and he was spending a couple weeks there. And just being in association, I really see a small partial of how great you are in your personality, and how humble and how faithful and how dedicated he is to serving you so much. And I also want to just thank you for all your guidance, you know, me and my relationship with Krishna. And I realized that, you know, you're not just a spiritual follower, but you're also a leader. And that's one thing I'm looking forward to establishing such a wonderful opportunity to be in your association. And thank you very much.
Archana. Archana. Oh, Archana.
Oh, you remember me?
Of course, you were all. I just.
I thought you would have forgotten.
Didn't recognize them at home.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It helps me hide. Well, I offer my humble obeisances unto you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I was actually speaking with another of your disciples the other day here. I now live here in Durham, so we were talking.
We have our own in Durham.
Well, I'm here. But we were talking about you and your upcoming celebration. And I was telling her about how I met you and how important you were for my spiritual life. Of course,
we associate a lot with Atlanta. I was in Atlanta about 10 or 11 years ago.
yeah, it was a long time ago. And for a short while, you were my spiritual father-in-law as well. So I owe a lot to you. But I was thinking, you're the reason I kept coming to the temple. I had gotten Prabhupada's book and I loved it, and I was completely convinced, but I didn't know how to access it and to really understand what was in it. So I started coming to the temple, and I didn't understand the devotees. I didn't understand the deities. I thought the kirtan was loud and obnoxious. The food was spicy, and I couldn't stand it. I always tried to get away before the food. But you were giving a lot of lectures during that time, so I came to see you mostly. And you were staying in the guest house and giving lectures there too. So I started coming more. And as I got more involved, and I met my spiritual master, Krishna Maharaj. I became close to some of your disciples, Mother Tulsi and Mother Krishna Priya, and learned a lot from them and spent a lot of time with them up here. So I just wanted to share how much you have meant to me and how happy I am to be here and that you're here at the same time, and then maybe once again, you know, we can work together and I can help with Krishna West. And, you know, not in college anymore, so can't really start, you know, programs like that. But
Didn't you do Georgia State?
I tried. I failed, but I tried.
No,
so
well, definitely was good.
So I look forward to that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Chandrasekhar. Tu ne peux pas te cacher. Ah.
Just read what I wrote.
Oui, tu veux dire. Bien, bien. Chandrasekhar, by the way, has helped us also. Actually, I think, did you tell Leonard about Krishna?
Yeah, and that's all because of Chandrasekhar.
It's a pleasure to try to bring people to you. Dear Srila Charity, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. On freeways, there are sometimes signboards that say, last exit for so-and-so. If we miss that last exit, we're stuck on the freeway, going the wrong way, for miles on end. My having taken shelter of you is similar to my having gotten off the last possible exit. If I hadn't aligned myself with your instructions and worldview, I would have been stuck on a freeway of bigotry and small-mindedness. Instead, I feel that I am on a golden road of cutting-edge orthodoxy.
I like that.
I use the words, quote-unquote, cutting edge, because, as everyone who appreciates you says, you offer members of the Krishna consciousness movement a fresh, rational, exciting paradigm, a template that is in tune with the sattvika pulse of today's global culture. You encourage us to be world-embracing Vaishnavas. You motivate us to own, quote-unquote, our guna and karma and spiritualize them. You extend the boundaries of yukta vairagya and inspire in us faith about the attractiveness and potency of bhakti yoga. By stressing substance over form, you push us to become convinced that at a level playing field, the theology and practice of Krishna consciousness have no rivals on today's market of spirituality and religion. By being your followers, we become actually proud to represent Lord Chaitanya. Who else in ISKCON is capable of delivering the kinds of seminars that you gave at the Shivananda Ashram in the Bahamas? On both occasions, during the Bhagavad Saptaha seminar and the Mahabharata seminar, you were able to captivate, enthrall, make laugh, and make cry the crème de la crème of the world yoga scene. I counted the seconds. At the end of the closing session, after you say, thank you very much and we'll see you soon, the audience, made up, as I said, of cultured, rich, educated yoga teachers, applaud you with vigor uninterrupted for no less than 53 seconds. 53 full seconds of non-stop applause. You blew them away. You made the Pandavas come alive by infusing in them the appropriate modern psychology that intelligent people in the West can identify with. Who else can do that? And I use the word orthodoxy because in spite of having a reputation for being a so-called liberal, you actually stand strong for conservatism. For one, you are fully loyal to the Srimad Bhagavatam, sticking to its siddhanta with unshakable firmness. You accept the Bhagavatam as your final scriptural authority, epitomizing Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's statement that if all the Vedic scriptures were burnt and only the Bhagavatam survived, nothing would be lost. The combination of your total mastery of Sanskrit and deep familiarity with Prabhupada's teachings makes you a true authority on the Bhagavatam. For example, you uphold the Bhagavatam version of the fall of the soul. By the same gesture, you uphold the honor of your spiritual master's stance on the issue, accepting at face value what Prabhupada explicitly said. You also are a proponent of the policy of loyalty to the GBC. You repeatedly stress that devotees should serve within the authority structure of ISKCON. And you stand for righteousness and morality, way better even than a la Jane Austen. By your own example, you show that a life of honesty, integrity, selflessness, sense control, and devotion to Krishna leads to a happy heart, i.e. Hridayananda. on this auspicious day. I thank you so much for being in my life. Thank you for making me proud of being a modern devotee of Krishna. Please live for many more years. I pray to Krishna that I may be able to continue hearing you. Servant.
I thought I'd just say a few words. Oh, I'm sorry.
Haridas.
Haridas.
Lilananda.
Both of you. Haridas.
I can't do it.
Think God.
Wonderful, thank you. It's very inspiring. Jai Charadeva. Thank you for your association. Thanks for everything. Thanks for your classes. And actually, Prabhupada is very. I'm very sure that Prabhupada is very happy with you and all the Vaishnavas that we see. I'm really 100% sure about the Krishna West. That is the way to go. I think every time I hear your class, I get more and more convinced how important it is to change the way that we're doing. We need to defeat, and after the World Cup, I realized some things. So thank you very much for your association, your inspiration, and that's it. Thank you.
Nanda Lila is doing the work of like 20 people. So.
I don't want to echo everybody else, but I'd like to thank you for all the wonderful association we've been having since you moved here. Like everybody said, I don't know what to say. I just don't want to repeat everything. Thank you. Thank you so much. No, I really appreciate you giving this opportunity for us to work in Chapel Hill and do the best we can, which is not enough, but still we're doing the best we can and try our best.
I just want to say one more word because I was inspired by hearing all these talks, so I wanted to glorify myself. I'm just kidding. I've been having some very interesting realizations. Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya in the Shikshastika says, Ananda Mudivardhanam. The ocean of bliss is always increasing. Krishna's called Nava Yovanam, ever like new youth. And Prabhupada explained that means that, oh, who is that? Who was that? Okay. We all go through different stages in life. That's natural. Prabhupada said that even, for example, the Varna system, teachers, rulers, merchants and farmers and workers, that even if people don't use the Sanskrit names, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, that you find these divisions all over the world. In fact, it's very clear if you look at the pre-industrial world, there was actually a varnashram system all over the world. Not just because everyone was trying to do whatever they did in India necessarily, but because it's natural. And so not only the varnas are natural, the ashrams also. It's natural when you're young to study, to learn. And then for most people, it's natural to get married, to raise a family. And then at a certain point, when the children are raised, it's natural to join a golf community. Or, if that's not available, to engage in more serious Krishna consciousness. So, but I mean, retired life is natural, and then for some people who are especially inspired, they dedicate all of their energy full-time to preaching. So, in my own life, and even if, I mean, I took sannyas at the age of 23. I was very mature. In fact, I was so mature, my brain was almost fully formed, but not quite, because, you know, 23-year-old male. So, in a sense, because I joined a new movement, and there were so few people, and for example, Prabhupada, when I was 25 years old, asked me to take responsibility for 20 countries. So I thought, sure, why not? Got nothing else to do. So in a sense, those of us who were the first generation of Prabhupada's followers and disciples, we had all the excitement and the thrill of being with Prabhupada, but at the same time we didn't have the luxury of always, I don't know, you could say, sanity, in the sense that we had to do things out of order. I mean, normally you join any organization, whether it's a commercial corporation, whether it's a university or a spiritual movement, and you gradually work your way up. But when we joined, there was no one else, and so suddenly at the age of 23, I was a mature elder, and then at the age of 25, in charge of all these countries. And so everything kind of went in a very strange order, and so because nature balances itself, you know, this was the first principle in Newton's physics, right? That every action creates an equal and opposite reaction, and so inevitably we have to balance ourselves. And so I mean, all of us have gone through so many things. Like I say, if you've been in the Hare Krishna movement more than 48 hours, you have your list of grievances. But so we've all been through a lot, but somehow in the last year or two, Krishna's been, actually it's been coming on. I was going to quote a nice Beach Boys song. It's been building up inside of me for, oh, I don't know how long. But anyway, so. But after going through all these things in the last couple of years, Krishna more and more has been bringing me back to, I guess you could say, public service in the sense of being a leader. Things that, I mean, there was a time in my life when just the thought of that was like, anyway, so somehow here I am, and I'm remembering every day Krishna's reminding me more and more of all kinds of wonderful ecstatic experiences I've had in lifetime service. And the last several days I've been very inspired by certain memories of my life as a brahmachari, which I don't formally plan to revert to, but I just remembering that when I was it's funny, when I first joined the Hare Krishna movement, and then I read the first Back to Godhead magazine that I read as a committed, having been committed myself to the ashram. The first magazine I read, Prabhupada defined the Hare Krishna mantra. He said, when we chant Hare Krishna, it means, oh, the energy of the Lord, oh Lord Krishna, please engage me in your service. And that seemed very sort of almost like, what does that mean? Because everybody was always trying to engage me. When you're a young brahmachari, everyone's always saying, do this, do that. You become a sort of a Vaishnava gopher. And but there was something very liberating about that. If those of you who had the privilege, the opportunity to join the Hare Krishna movement, live in an ashram, it's something very liberating, because we really did just act as servants, because everyone, I mean, that's what we were. We were servants. We had no seniority. We only had juniority, I guess you'd call it. And we were just servants. I wasn't in charge of anything. I was, although actually when I was very young, it's amazing. In retrospect, I can see how kind Krishna was to me, because I joined the Hare Krishna movement. I was so, Plato says, in Plato, I will say something about Plato. In the Republic, when Plato gives this famous myth of the cave, people living in a cave seeing the reflections of reality. And then he said when someone comes out of the cave into the sunlight, at first They may not be able to see as well as in the cave because they're not used to the bright light of the sun. So I was a scholarship student at the University of California in Berkeley, and then I joined the movement. It was also new that every night we would sit there after Sankirtan, we go out and sell magazines and incense, and so we'd pour all the coins, because in those days American coins actually had monetary value, and so we get a lot of coins. So we pour all this money on the floor, we just count it and then roll the coins, quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. And the first week I was in the movement, I actually could not, they were in 10, we do stacks of 10. And for the first several days, I could not get my stacks to be 10. I mean, I was really trying, but I was so spaced out, having joined the movement. I was 20 years old, and like there'd be 9 or 8 or 11, and finally they gave up, and so the devotee said, no, you don't have to count coins, you can just sit there and chant Hare Krishna while we do this. But then I kept chanting, and then within a few more weeks I was a temple treasurer. And which probably explains why we lost everything. I'm just kidding, we didn't. But after about another week or two, I became the temple treasurer, and I was able to do it. I just was a little disoriented at first. But then Krishna gave me this room. It was a beautiful temple in Berkeley, California, near the university, near the most beautiful part of the university, actually. And I had this big room to myself. I never thought of it that way because we were so much in the mood of servants. It never occurred to me till like 30 years later that actually Krishna gave me this beautiful room when I first joined the movement. You know, the hardwood paneling, it's beautiful. That was the treasury room, and so I had my room. And so, but we were just servants. We really felt that way, and because I wasn't in charge of anything, I mean, I was always under someone, there was no anxiety, there was no mental platform, there were no real decisions to make. We just had to obey. And, I mean, obviously you can't continue like that forever because we have to ultimately grow up spiritually, and Prabhupada needs us to take responsibility. Prabhupada needs us to become leaders. But during that time, when I was just basically obeying, that was my devotional service. You know, go here, go there, do this, do that. And I was, I can't say I was a very proud person because that implies that I'm not now. But I was also a very proud person back then. And, but somehow or other, I understood that my spiritual advancement, if I'm going to do this, it's like, why convince the whole world I'm crazy by going down the street dressed in a certain way if I'm not going to take it seriously? Like, why just put up with all that and then not even get the spiritual benefit? So I was really serious. Like, I have to really do this. If I'm going to surrender to Krishna, I've got to put my whole life into this. I have to do this right. I have to achieve Krishna. And so I became obedient, amazingly. And so when I think back to that life, it was such an ecstatic life. Again, eventually Krishna called on me. Literally, Prabhupada called on me. He literally called me and told me, take over all these countries. But I think there's a way. It's like life moves in a circle. It's like when you're a brahmachari or a brahmacharini, which, by the way, is a real Vedic word in case someone told you it's not. But when you're a brahmachari or a brahmacharini, and you're just serving, and you're just studying the highest Vedic literature and so on, you have no anxiety, you're free because you don't want anything and you have nothing. And then, of course, you become a householder, most people. And the word for householder, adhikari, literally, adhikara means a right, jideto, or derecho in Spanish. And so, because a brahmachari or brahmacharini just lives as a servant. But when you marry, you literally gain the right to have your own home, to have your own bank account, to make your own decisions, because that's what it means. You become, you know, as a mother, father, husband, or wife, you become the head of your own family. And that's what the word adhikari means. And if you become a sannyas, of course, you get even more money. So, but I mean, there's a sense in which, sort of an inside ISKCON joke. But there's a sense in which when you leave brahmachari life or leave brahmacharini life, you take responsibility, you begin to manage your own life. A sannyasi, of course, has to be in charge of his own life. A householder has to be in charge. And yet, later in life, when you go through life, because and we all have to go through so much. I mean, life, in a sense, the real Bhagavatam class is life. because the Bhagavatam is just like a guide to life, because the real bhakti yoga, the real learning takes place in life. And the Bhagavatam just gives us a map, like this is what you're going to find along the way, this is where to turn, this is where not to turn, and so on and so forth. But the real bhakti yoga is just life. And then toward the end of life, well, I mean, some of you are obviously not toward the end of life, but we reach a certain point where you again, it comes around again, like when you were young and when you were just a servant and you had no anxiety. I remember one time I was the temple commander and Sankirtan leader in Boston in 1970 at the mature age of 21, and we were coming back from Sankirtan one day in the van, and we got a flat tire. Fudo Kaneo. We got a flat tire, and our temple president, Satsarupa, was also in the van, and I was just reading Prabhupada's book. All I wanted to do was read Prabhupada's book, and he said, Hridayananda, you're in charge. We just got a flat tire. I said, oh. So then I said, does anyone here know how to fix a tire? And then some guy said, yeah. I said, okay, please go fix a tire. And then I went back to my book. And so, but the point I'm trying to make here, I think the reason I'm remembering a lot my brahmachari life is that all of us, and not just when you get to my mature golden circle age, but even before that, even with our responsibilities, because if you're married, you have a lot of responsibilities. If you have children, you have responsibilities. If you just can't take ashram life, you have responsibilities. That's actually a respectable category. So, but if for any reason you have to take responsibility for your own life, or sannyasi, I mean, we all have other duties. I mean, some devotees, and they're glorious, they're wonderful devotees, live in the ashram, and they're very dear to Krishna. And most devotees don't live in the ashram, and they're also dear to Krishna. But even with our other responsibilities, we have to come back to that simple, pure consciousness, where every moment we really feel that I'm just a tiny servant. I remember now, after having gone through everything, having been after Prabhupada departed, being one of the Fab 11, and just going through all these different stages of life, I now look back to that simple life when I didn't have a position in ISKCON. I mean, I might have been the head bottle washer or the treasurer of ISKCON Berkeley or something, but I didn't really have a position. There were lots of devotees above me, and they felt great spiritual bliss and always reminding me of that fact, that they were above me. And so, but there was something so pure and liberating and innocent, and you know, I actually flirted for a few years with humility. It didn't work out, but so I'm thinking now, at this point in my life, I really aspire to somehow recapture that magic. And you know, all of us who were there when Prabhupada was here, it was very magical. Also because Prabhupada's presence was just so powerful. And we know that Prabhupada is, you know, even more present in separation, as he always emphasized. But still, for those of us who are still young and immature, his presence in the world was extremely powerful. Prabhupada, people say, what was it like to be around Prabhupada? And the first thing that always comes to my mind is, whenever I used to be around Prabhupada, it was just obvious to me, he's not human. I mean, it was clearly I was with someone from another world. And that was the most striking thing. He didn't look like a human. I mean, when you were with him, it wasn't like being with a human being. It was like being with someone from some higher planet that came down. And so, because Prabhupada's presence was so powerful, also, we just followed orders. And of course, a time comes when the order is you have to think and you have to be creative and you've got to figure things out and you have to lead. But still, even in that position, because Krishna's in our heart, Krishna's in our heart, you know, it's, you know, to sort of like emulate the credo of the Catholics, the Pita, the Putra, and the Paramatma. You know, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So, but we can, and that's really the goal. The goal is, in Krishna consciousness, when you're young, and people are ordering you do this, do that, but to get to a point where you actually have responsibility, you're a leader, or you're just, you know, you have your own life, and you make your own decisions, and yet to be in that consciousness of being just a servant. To really feel that I am simply a servant, the servant of Krishna. And that is liberation. That is actually liberation. And to be completely committed to and attached to and devoted to doing what Krishna wants. And to free ourselves from this poison of thinking, I like this, I don't like that. I want this, I don't want that. Instead of thinking, Krishna likes this, Krishna doesn't like that. Krishna wants this, Krishna doesn't want that. The good news is, as I always say, Krishna is not a religious fanatic, despite what the impression you might have gotten at different moments. But Krishna is not a religious fanatic, and he actually wants us to be happy. Krishna is not, he's not just going to break us. He's not going to smash us into little, like surrender to Krishna, and then, you know, and then, no, Krishna's never going to ask us to do anything artificial. Just like Prabhupada never asked me to do anything that I couldn't do. And so that consciousness of just being, that is the Vyavasayatmika Buddhi that Krishna talks about in the Gita. That's the verse that inspired Prabhupada to really become active and to really go out and try to save the world. That verse that when you really make up your mind, that's what Vyavasayatmika just means, you really make up your mind like once and for all, that's it, I'm going to do it. That's Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. And then your intelligence is not toxic, thinking like, do I like this? Well, how can I get what I want? How could I avoid what I don't want? We're always thinking of how to please Krishna, and we're always feeling ourselves servants. So when you're young, you're put in a position when you're actually technically a servant in the, you know, the organizational chart. You're actually the servant. But to get to the point where you're not technically a servant in the world, you have your own life, you have your own house, you have your own family, or your own sannyasi thing going on. And so to be in that situation, and yet to really feel in the core of your heart like a humble servant, and at every moment to really want to know what Krishna wants, that is liberation. And that's what we're all aspiring for. That is real. Then you actually have spiritual life. That is real spiritual life. Because if I'm thinking of what I want, what I don't want, that's not real spiritual life. I mean, you still get points if you go through, go through the motions and follow the principles. You definitely get credit for that. But in terms of really experiencing, and that's what will attract people. That's the only way to spread the Hare Krishna movement. Just putting the pants back on the men is not everything. And that's the question, in a Hare Krishna family, who wears the pants? No one. But all those adjustments are just to give us access to the people. People don't surrender to pants no matter how stylish. I love your Dockers. It's, where do I sign up? Sure, I'll give up sex if I can wear pants like those. So we have to remember that these little adjustments we make in terms of time and place, that all that buys us, all that gets us is access. And once we get access to the people, and they're not like, whoa, why are you talking to me? So once we get access to the people, then what's going to convince them ultimately is that we are real. We are really Krishna conscious. We're not just trying to spread our religious doctrine. Hi, can I tell you about my dogma? Can I tell you about my doctrine? People don't want to hear about our doctrine, but they do want to meet someone who's actually in higher consciousness and who can give a reasonable explanation of why they're in higher consciousness and what the content is of that consciousness. But the world does not need one more group of religious hypocrites. There's enough. It's a growth industry already in this country. So ultimately, what people are going to surrender to is genuine, authentic Krishna consciousness, meeting someone who's really there. It's funny.
there are many young devotees that have stories like this. Before I joined the movement, devotees took me out one day to do Sankirtan in downtown Los Angeles. I don't know if I grew up in LA. I don't know how well you know LA, but downtown, I mean, no one goes to downtown LA because it's very hot, it's very smoggy. Although now there's a big downtown revival from really cool people that stay in centrally air-conditioned apartments all day and never open the windows. But anyway, so it was in the summer, it was like August, the real dog days on the West Coast. August and September are the hottest times of the year. And so we were driving back in the Sankirtan van. Obviously, in the back of the van, there were no windows because that was sense gratification. You know, to ventilate the back of a passenger van was like shameless bodily indulgence. And so it wasn't until like after the movement had been around for maybe 20 years that someone bought the first van with windows in the back. So we were driving back from downtown Los Angeles, and it was very hot. I mean, the temperature in the van was probably things like paper and leaves would self-combust. But it's interesting, in those days we were all very innocent. There was no like men's side or woman's side, and much less a men's van or a woman's van. We were just all sitting together. And so one by one, the devotees were just like passing out. And the last one to do so, of course, was the driver. But and I was sitting there. So at one point, there were all these devotees crowded into the back of this van, driving back from downtown LA in the dog days of summer. And I was literally the last person awake in the van. And you know, when it's real hot, some people were emitting ecstatic drool, and I actually thought, oh my God, this is what I read about. They've all gone to samadhi. And I read about it. Now I'm seeing it. And for me, it was just this. I felt so privileged to be around all these. I later learned that they were in a different state, but in the old days, we used to be so enthusiastic. We would literally almost drag people to the temple in the sense that we were so enthusiastic. We were so convinced because imagine, I mean, according to the sociology, actually, of conversion experiences, when you're converted to a new religion or even a political philosophy or something, when people have powerful conversion experiences, for about 2 years, they're like, you know, they really want to save the world, and they kind of reach their cruising altitude and settle down. So imagine there was a time in the movement where everyone there was still in that sort of, I don't know, they were still feeling their spiritual endorphins. And it was just so ecstatic because everyone was just, I remember when I was a new brahmachari, I wasn't even initiated. I used to literally block the door of the temple after the Sunday program, like, you cannot leave this house until you buy a Bhagavad Gita. I mean, it was all done in good fun. We were all, you know, I was laughing, the people were laughing. I mean, I wasn't seriously kidnapping them, but we really had that enthusiasm, like, you have to come and visit, you have to come to this program, you have to read the Bhagavad Gita. It's the most amazing thing. It has totally changed my life. And because that transformation of our life was so recent, we were still totally buzzing about it. And we have to somehow recapture that, because on a human level, it lasts about 2 years. You know, your conversion endorphins last about 2 years. But if we're really advancing in Krishna consciousness, it doesn't stop. We can remain unbearable to the public. No, I'm just kidding. If we really overbearing. No, if we really are spiritually advancing, then we can always be ecstatic, because unless we are advancing, unless today you experience something that you didn't experience yesterday, some new insight, some new realization, a new level of understanding yourself, of understanding Krishna, what have you got to tell people? Because if you're telling people the same thing day after day, if the Sankirtan movement just becomes Gaudiya Vaishnav Groundhog Day, in other words, it's the newness of it. Like, how many times could you read the same newspaper? How many days in a row? And so even though Krishna is eternal, never fresh, our realizations have to be new. So Every day you've got something new and ecstatic to tell people. Let me tell you what I just realized, or the amazing experience I had when I chanted my japa, when I did kirtan, when I read Prabhupada's books. And so you can't have a movement unless it's made up of people who themselves are moving. It's like on a hot day, you put the windows down and you get up to like 30, 40 miles an hour, it starts to feel better, you get a breeze. So how much of a breeze do you have in your subtle body? You know, do you have your windows down? So, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of something silly about people claiming to be a movement when they're standing still, they're not moving. Because that's what we're asking people to do. When we ask people to come to our center or to chant Hare Krishna, we're saying, even though you may think your life is okay, make an extra effort. Don't be lazy. Make further advancement. So are we asking them to do something that we're doing? Are we doing what we're asking them to do? It's not that, okay, you're saved. You joined the Hare Krishna movement, you're saved. Now, you know, it's okay. Don't have to worry about it. This idea that once you join the right church or the right mandir or something, you're saved and then you can just sort of do whatever you want. No, it's not like that. We're not trying to just get the right doctrine so that we're saved and then we can do whatever we want. We're actually trying to keep moving toward Krishna. We're trying to get, like you have all these Back to Godhead articles, you know, how I found Krishna. Well, we're still looking. I mean, if you think about it, the 6 Goswamis, that beautiful verse, what is it? That they were always running about Vrindavan, crying out, Goshanta viti sarvato brajapure. Kedar Mahaviva, they're overwhelmed with ecstasy. We are still looking for Krishna. We know he's there now. We know Krishna's there. We have a map, but we're still looking for him. And so if instead of this being your spiritual path, because the word path means something you move on. If you're just sitting down somewhere, that's not your path, that's your seat. And so the question is Bhakti Yoga your path or your seat? And if we're moving, if we are moving on the path, every day we're going to constantly be having new ecstatic experiences, and therefore every day there's news to tell the world. You've got news. There are headlines. Breaking news. You know, in my japa today, I just realized that, whatever, that there is life after overeating. That's what we do in the Hare Krishna movement. Anyway, so, but every day, if we have news, if we get up in the morning, we have a spiritual program, and I've got news, I've got headlines. I want to tell the world what I just discovered. I just discovered it. And therefore, I'm excited about it, and I want to tell other people about it. And those are the kinds of communities that grow. Those are the communities that grow. That's how we save the world. That's how Hare Krishna becomes a major world religion. Not just by, what's our strategy to become a world religion? Prophecies and Agyata Sukriti. You know, we have sort of like this, you know, 1-2 punch. The prophecies don't get you, you know, the Agyata Sukriti will. So what I'm saying is, I mean, sure, there are real prophecies. I mean, Lord Chaitanya really is going to save the planet, and Agyata Sukriti really happens. At the same time, Krishna will empower those devotees who are not lazy, not passive, not running, don't think the Sankirtan movement runs on automatic. It doesn't. It runs on constant endeavor, intelligence, Prabhupada said, as I think Glani quoted, and thinking and planning, wishing and hoping. I won't do the Dusty Springfield song. That won't get you into the mandir. Anyway, I'm sorry. I apologize. Couldn't help it. It's a really great song. So anyway, that's what we need to be. We need to really, really be a movement. We need to be, you get a bunch of people who are moving spiritually, put them all together, you've got this explosive, unstoppable spiritual movement. So it starts with japa. I mean, just consider that Prabhupada gave us so many invaluable things. He gave us his books. He gave us kirtan. He gave us the Sankirtan movement. But to be initiated, he only asked us to do one thing. He said, don't do 4 things. You know, don't go bestial. So there are 4 things he asked us not to do. And there's only one thing he asked us to do. Only one thing. And what's that? Chant Hare Krishna. Chant japa. Why? Because, I hate to say this. I hope I don't sound like a, I don't know, the anti-Christian or something. But it is possible. I'm not saying everyone does it, but it is possible in kirtan to fake it. Because if you think about it, even non-devotees, what do? They get together, music and dancing. And they go wild and they dance and everything. And so we get together and go wild and dance. And so what I'm saying is, even if I'm not thinking of Krishna, I can just get into it. I can get into, you know, we can do some pretty primitive rhythms on the drum. You can get very primal kirtan. Haribo, Haribo. You know, so it's kind of awaken your inner savage sometimes. So, of course, I mean, I would say, you know, obviously most devotees, they do kirtan very sincerely. I'm not questioning that. They do kirtan sincerely with love of Krishna. But all I'm saying is that when you do kirtan, it's possible, it's not necessary, but it's possible to just get into the music and the dancing. And I have to admit, I've been at some very primal kirtans where they didn't remind me of Krishna that much. And of course, some kirtans do. But when you chant japa, you can't fake it. There's no mundane payoff. It's not that you get together with your friends and dance and jump and sweat and play the drums and you know, run around in circles and bounce off each other and, you know, sort of your generic male bonding. But when you do japa, it's just you and Krishna. There's no music. You know, the music stops, the dancing stops, even the, like, you know, hanging out with your friends and running around and jumping and dancing, it all stops. And the only payoff is love of God. It's just you and Krishna. And if we don't chant japa nicely, it's unbearable, which is why people don't do it. You know, why don't people chant japa? Because they're not having fun. I mean, why would anyone stop something in which they're having fun? And because when you do japa, there's only one kind of fun you can possibly get out of it, and that is surrendering to Krishna. If you don't surrender to Krishna, it's actually, there's no other pleasure in it. Whereas in kirtan, even if you're not surrendering to Krishna, you can just have a good time. Again, I'm not saying that devotees don't do kirtan sincerely. I'm just saying it's very possible to not think of Krishna and still have a great kirtan, quote unquote. And so Prabhupada asked us to chant japa because that's your quality time with Krishna. That's your private time with Krishna. You can't fake it. It's impossible to fake japa. If you don't chant it really well, it's not fun. And that's why so many people don't do it. And so again, this is a chance for all of you. If you ever thought once, if ever in your life you thought, I wish I could have been here when Prabhupada was here. If you ever thought that, this is your real chance. Because when Prabhupada was here, there was a certain mood, there was a certain optimism and confidence and enthusiasm and idealism, and we were winning. If you want to know what it's like to play on a winning team, not just in the theoretical, doctrinal sense that we have the best prophecies, so we'll eventually win. But if you want the experience in this life, what it's like to actually see the world changing as you watch, to feel the earth moving under your feet, to actually see Lord Chaitanya's ocean of bliss growing right before you. That's what it was like when Prabhupada was here. And we can experience that now. Because the essence of being with Prabhupada is being part of his winning team. And actually seeing the movement grow and seeing the world change right before your eyes. And being idealistic and being confident. And just like, whatever it takes, I'm going to get this person to come back to our center. And whatever it takes, I'm going to get the person to buy this book. And not because I want to control this person or manipulate this person, because I'm so enthusiastic, I'm so excited about what I am experiencing. I'm so excited about what I am experiencing in my life, I just have to share it. I can't stand not sharing it. That's what it was like when Prabhupada was here. That's what it really means to be with Prabhupada, because even when Prabhupada was here, there were a lot of people that left. Most of them did. We had a high turnover rate. So it's not like everyone that was physically with Prabhupada just became a pure devotee. In fact, it's very famous that when Prabhupada left, physically, that the devotees were most dependent on his physical association were the ones that tended to leave. Prabhupada always emphasized to me service and separation. So to be with Prabhupada, most of the time, I wasn't physically with him. Maybe probably 99% of the time that I was serving Prabhupada and he was here, I wasn't physically with him. I wasn't in his room. I wasn't walking with him. But his presence in the world changed everything. And the point is, it's up to us to again bring Prabhupada. It's just like you install the deities. The theology behind deity installation is, if you read the scriptures, is that you actually invite the deity and bring the deity there. We have to bring Prabhupada by our complete dedication to serving him and spreading his movement. So that's what this is really all about. So if we get this Krishna West thing cranked up, which we need to do, everyone's going to have the most powerful Prabhupada experience of their life. And Prabhupada really will be here with us in the same way he was back then. So it would be very un-Vaishnav-like of me to further delay your lunch. So thank you very much. Let's go do it. Hare Krishna. It is 1:30 p.m. Oh, yuck. Oh, I'm sorry. The actual Guru Puja, the Pushpanjali. This evening? No. Couldn't do it this evening, right? Can we do it this evening?
After lunch? You want to do it after lunch?
Or, no, because it's YouTube. What should we do?
We can do it now.
What?
A quick one.
Oh, Gayatri? Could we do it this evening, the actual RT thing? Could we? What's that?
Melhor fazer agora porque tem muita coisa pelo dia todo.
Falou e disse. Okay, so why don't we just, I beg your indulgence, we'll just do the kirtan thing, and then we'll chant Gayatri, and then I'm sure Prabhupada will understand. Okay, well thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Let me try to save this. Actually, what I'm going to do is